Today we're checking out Professor Onyx and Oathbreaker. We'll go over the crazy infinite win combo that auto wins with just her and the signature spell, as well as some of the support pieces this deck runs, and then we'll go over some other possible signature spell choices if we're not so fond of combo. Professor Onyx costs 4 black and starts at 5 loyalty. Magecraft. Whenever you cast or copy an instant or sorcery spell, each opponent loses 2 life and you gain 2 life. +1, you lose 1 life. Look at the top 3 cards of your library, put one of them into your hand and the rest into your graveyard. -3, each opponent sacrifices a creature with the greatest power among creatures they control. -8, each opponent may discard a card. If they don't, they lose 3 life. Repeat this process 6 more times. There's some cool stuff going on there. It's a shame that 72% of the people playing this card don't care about 3/4 of it. That's because 72% of the people playing Professor Onyx are playing Chain of Smog. For 1 and a black, target player discards 2 cards from their hand. That player may copy this spell and may choose new targets for the copy. All they care about here is that static ability, the Magecraft thing. So the way it works is you target yourself with this, discard 2 cards, then you target yourself with this again. Doesn't matter if you have any cards in your hand, you just keep on targeting yourself with it, triggering Magecraft and draining your opponents. Of course, it's extremely important that we can pull this off in 1 turn, because if we let Professor Onyx sit out on the battlefield for a whole turn cycle, people are just going to gang up on her. They know what you've got in the command zone. That means you've got to have a fair amount of ramp in the deck so you can shoot off 8 mana worth of spells in 1 turn. Some of the best ramp in the format is, of course, banned, but we do have some good stuff. Jet Medallion is awesome for this. Black spells you cast cost 1 less to cast. I also think Bubbling Muck and Rain of Filth are all stars. Bubbling Muck for 1 black mana until end of turn. Whenever a player taps a swamp for mana, it produces an additional black. And Rain of Filth for 1 black mana. Each land you control gains, sacrifice this land, add black to your mana pool. It's really going to stink if they destroy Professor Onyx in response, because you've sacrificed your swamps at this point. But that's just the kind of deck we're running here. It's kind of a glass cannon. Either we win or we don't. We don't have Dark Ritual, but we do have Cabal Ritual. For 2 mana, it adds black. And Culling the Weak for 1 mana. Sacrifice a creature, add black. We've also got Lotus Petal and Blood Pet that can sacrifice to add mana. You might want to throw some board wipes and hand disruption in there, like Toxic Deluge and Thoughtseize. And there you go, that is the core of the deck. Just try to get it done as fast as possible without dying. Another way to get it done is Plumb the Forbidden, an instant for 2. As an additional cost to cast this spell, you may sacrifice 1 or more creatures. When you do, copy this spell for each creature sacrificed this way. You draw a card and you lose 1 life. So this triggers Magecraft too. If you can sacrifice enough creatures, it can do the same thing as the last one. Same with Tendrils of Agony, a sorcery for 4. Target player loses 2 life and you gain 2 life. And it has Storm, so when you cast the spell, copy it for each spell cast before it this turn. You may choose new targets for the copies. I think the only reason to run these last 2 would be if you like the idea of Chain of Smog, but you want something a little more challenging, or your playgroup is quite a bit more casual and they wouldn't appreciate it. Going in a different direction, Liliana's Triumph is an instant for 2. Each opponent sacks a creature. If you control a Liliana Planeswalker, each opponent also discards a card. This card is pretty good, and I also love that it's got Liliana in it, obviously. That's very thematic. If we'd like to try to win via that -8, we could go with the Elder Spell, a sorcery for black. Destroy any number of target Planeswalkers. Choose a Planeswalker you control. Put 2 loyalty counters on it for each Planeswalker destroyed this way. This is a notoriously mean card. It gets the job done, though. Or we could try to use that +1 to get creatures into the graveyard and a signature spell that reanimates them, like, for example, Reanimate. Although I don't actually like Reanimate, because at this point in the game we probably won't have 20 life anymore, and we have to pay a lot of life to get a good creature. I think maybe I'd go with Persist, a sorcery for 2. Return target non-legendary creature from your graveyard to the battlefield with a -1/-1 counter on it. Yeah, I don't love that either, but I like the mana cost and we don't have to pay life. I think I'm the only YouTuber making consistent Oathbreaker content, and I'll tell ya, it's kinda lonely over here. So hit that subscribe button if you want to see more, and you can keep me company. Either way, I appreciate you stopping by and talking Oathbreaker with me. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.